Great morning. Good morning. Welcome to Unbreakable Secrets. Welcome, Sales Mercs. I appreciate Roberto. I'm your salesman. Oh, look, today we are going to talk about something really, really important, right? And you can go back and do whatever as far as who's the best salesman, who's the best trainer, but no one talks about. Look, I'm gonna fire my accountant because for the past 2 years he's been like making some mistakes that it doesn't align with my vision. It actually kind of feels good, right? But also the thing that I'm going to talk about today, by the way, save this post, save this video, put it in your favorites because everybody talks about the money, the Bugattis, the mansions in Dubai and all these, the yachts and the master, the wealth and everybody is so infatuated with all these big sports industry and the singers and the actors and we pay them money for what? I don't go to concerts. I don't go to ball games. I don't patronize any. If I talk about someone that is actually have good vibration into business, I say, look, this guy is doing phenomenal, man. He's doing the right way. And so number one, we filed the taxes because I've been using this guy that I've been using for years, and it just literally the way he talked to my wife yesterday, I was like, you know what, and I'm gonna shoot him an email, right? I'm gonna shoot an email in a couple of days, and we were able to do. My wife did it by herself, went to the IRS and did some stuff on herself, and she was like, dude, we're not gonna say I know, honey, and this dude has been dropping the ball for the past 2 years. It's an account. I think probably was he's an attorney. It is a tax. He's not a tax guy. He's an attorney. He's a fucking attorney, right? Is unfortunately the guy I think is too old. He has vision problems. He's I think he has glaucoma. His daughter is helping him, and the reason because he was a nice guy, But at the end of the day, I was like, even last year, I must be a nice guy, but they're not gonna hire you to be a nice guy, right? They're gonna hire you if you can bloody produce. So, and that relates as well to when you go like people go to the masters and why are you stop giving your money away for people after you go to the masters and you probably go home and it's just like, okay, so why did I get out of this event? Unless you're making a business contact and you actually have a purpose to be in any event, hey, by all means, right? But if you just going to these events just because, number one, you're wasting your time because you could have spent time with with your kids, with your wife, or increasing your sales ability or training or whatever the case might be, right? And look, I'm 50 plus years of age, and I see, and I'm talking about actresses, actors, singers, sports industry, and who is alive today. If you think all these like people that they were like back in the 80s and the 90s, everybody thought they were the ultimate gods and they were like live forever, right? Maybe to the music, but they're no longer alive, right? And some people may like, sure, and I'm not gonna say any names, but I really don't care, right? So when I got up this morning, I got up in a great state of mind, calm. Hey, you know what? We're gonna use someone local. We're gonna start interviewing, and we can start, some doing some stuff, for the next tax season, right? Because my life has to be surrounded with the people I love, and my wife, she's a great manager. She does a great with it, with money, right? If you want to succeed in any sales business industry, it's never about you. I'm telling you, I can name you all bells and whistles for what I'm good at it, but I think everybody does that. Everybody, oh my God, I'm like, when you go to an interview, you talk about it yourself, right? Oh, well, I can do this, I can do that. Well, blah, 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 blah. But nobody thinks that, I mean, the wife, the wife is at the house, maybe taking care of the kids and allows you to look better, right? So, and my wife, she was not you can tell she was frustrated. I said, honey, you know what? Let's do what we had to do, and let's go get she loves burgers, so let's go get a nice dinner, man. She came from work, and she's dealing with some stupid people at work. My wife, she's been working with the same company for 5 years, and she knows how to run every single machine, even fucking supervisors. They don't know how to run those machines. They're like, how do you get into a supervisor if you don't know your equipment? And that's why people are getting fucking fired of these big companies, because they just sat and I mean, if you watch the movie back in the with in the 80s with the Wall Street, right? Everybody was sitting on the desk. Oh yeah, this guy has been on this in the company since the 70s. He's not gonna get fired. No, bro. It's like when Gordon Gekko goes into the investor meeting and all these presidents and the back and say, yeah, I know you, Bob. I know you are in your third wife, right? I know you got a bonus for $20 million. I know that house in the Hampton. And all these guys that they're investing with the company, they're like, how in the world I'm investing, to retire in my, for my business, and these buffoons are spending my money, so everybody is restructuring because you gotta talk to the board of directors, and you are in conjunction with your investors, the guys that put the money for you can run the company. So I'm telling you, it's going to be a massive layoff in the next 10 years. If you're not doing some extra, if you are not increasing your, my God, they've been talking to AI for decades right now, for at least a decade, right? But, everybody thinks is, your shit doesn't stink. Oh, I'm going to be here, they need me. I don't need them. Look, unless you are the only engineer who knows how to run the nuclear facility, and whatever the case might be, your job might be safe, because there was nobody who knows how to do all whatever, right? But believe me, they'll find somebody, right? They'll find somebody. So don't think that you are like the last Coke in the desert. And no. Right now, that's why it's the biggest opportunity in the history of the world. All these actresses and actors that they are in some sort of therapy, in rehab. Look, these guys are a bunch of alcoholics. They're a bunch of I've been sober for 5 years. I'm an alcoholic, right? I've been sober for 5 years. I became a runner, and I'm run every day, right? So when I see these people, I just laugh, because I say, look, it's just a matter of time when they're gonna end up dead, or they're gonna end up in jail at some point. And people, I think right now, social media, people are getting tired. I also did this kind of like cycle over again, and people still go and praise these people like they're like gods, or they're like I don't know who in the world, right? Me, I shut the news off. I don't watch the news. I'm like, I had to be, we're about to purchase a home. We were like, dude, we are so in line with our goals and dreams, that whatever is happening in the external, what doesn't have to do with your future is completely fucking irrelevant. And I'm talking about family as well. I was watching a little show the other day, and the guy that was actually kidnapped these people, right? It was actually a guy who went to church with these guys, all valedictorian. He was a very smart guy, but somewhere along the way, right, his soul tarnished. And they start doing all this stupid shit to people, right? And I have always some family and friends that go to church, and we were like, no, because you go to church every week. There's no weird people going on, right? And I used to go. I know where I am. I know who I am. I know my spirituality, and I don't need to show people I need to go to church every Sunday and to just to show, the ultimate that I'm the best, whatever. No, you need to show to your actions, to your daily actions, your daily rituals, right? So you can be better human being, you can be better salesman. I didn't do my run today. I feel so calm, I'm so relaxed. I'm about to go to in the phone, so in about half an hour I work from home. So we just came for this trip to Atlanta. My wife had the best time ever. That was my goal. My goal was to have to have my partner have the best weekend, and she never had those weekends. The ex husband treated her like shit. Treated her like she was a second. I was just like disgusting. So I was like, honey, I'm gonna take you to places that I just wait. So and actually she ended winning a bloody Ninja espresso machine that is actually the retail is, I don't know, like almost $300. It's fancy, fancy, I'm telling you. So you're like, man, I never win anything, man. There was a kid in Christmas in July, right? And so you got to understand, how are you going to increase your revenue within your business? And believe me, it doesn't start, I'm going to just like watching 20 million videos. And no, it starts with making your bed every morning, to take care of your body like you are. Because when you're taking care of your body, something triggers inside of your mind that you're aware of a lot of things that you were not aware before. You don't have any pressure. Like we moved to another state. We change addresses. We change numbers, and we start fresh. We start fresh, and we're like, I don't care whoever's making $20 trillion. I don't care if you have 3 houses in the Hamptons, if you have 20 cars in the driveway. I don't care. I'm living my life. My goal is, when I'm still working on my business, and I am going to, and I'm developing a lot of things, right? I'm not in the rush to please absolutely no one, but bring my my partner to the top with me. That's the key. The key is not the money, it's not the cars. Of course, the closing and the objections. Yeah, it's good for your business, but the most important thing in life is, how many people are you taking to the top with you within your journey? Oh man. And I texted my wife. She made this phenomenal coffee. I said, man, I don't know what you did with coffee this morning, but it tastes so good. I sent me a thank you, appreciate it, love you, man. She was like, she texted me first. She said, hey, thank you for, I was stressed, thanks for the burger last night, man. I was stressed. She got a headache, and she loves burger, right? Hey, is happy life, happy wife, or whatever, both. And then she was like, man, we walk to the place and we just have a nice burger. We walk around the store to buy some pots for the coffee machine, and we're like, man, we went to bed, and I'm like, I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go. If I could work right, I would have started right now. But I want to drop this video because it is important, man. I think no one talks about this shit, So stop giving away your money to these people. They are irrelevant in your life. Even in the people who go to they live in Las Vegas and think, oh, I gotta go to this concert. And, I've been fighting with my step. Oh, I'm gonna go to New York to see this. To stop giving, save your money, man. Stop. These guys are already billion, and you're giving them more money, and they do what for you? That a friend of mine, she texted me a few months ago, and she wanted me to go to New York with a bunch of people, and to see a guy that was popular in Mexico City back in the 80s. This romantic guy, this love songs, and I was like, hell no. Why I'm gonna fly to New York to see why I'm going to it's just like, so right now every movement that I do in my life and in my business has to have a reason. Like, okay, let's say I'm going to the beach on this weekend. So we're gonna accomplish something. We're gonna go for a run. We're gonna we're gonna study. We're gonna do something, but it has to be a purpose. Stop consuming content and start creating content, right? So when I was in Atlanta, I was creating content, right? Out for my business. I was observing, and I was like, everything was a piece of. I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together, for my business on a daily basis, right? So that's why I don't have time to, who didn't, Coachella, who didn't. I mean, if you're a business owner and if you're actually getting for your, whatever that industry in the entertainment industry, hey, by all means, right? You are actually producing. You're not there to vacation. You're not there to, you actually have a purpose. You got to have a purpose for what you do, and every single time. And don't let these guys fool you, man. Even those guys that they're successful in sales, and now they have this big following, and they're like, you think they're a god, they're just humans, just like you do. They're not a Superman. They're the same laws of gravity applies to them that applies to you, right? If you drop out of the building, or if you whatever, the laws of gravity applies to everyone. They're not prone to anything, right? And I was watching a show, a training video, a guy that I was actually doing a review of him, and said, yeah, I mean, they were charging me $25,000. Yeah, you can bro tap him, and he was like, bro tapping. What was bro tapping? Like, I'm gonna pay $25,000 to be on a room, and just if I can just like touch his shoulder, or I have that, people are paying for proximity, right? Unless look, what's his name? Warren Buffett is a billionaire, right, or trillionaire probably right now. He still goes to the office every 5 days a week to do stock picking, whatever. He's not a CEO of the company anymore, of Berkshire Hathaway. He goes to the office. He could be in the yacht in the Bahamas with 20 and whatever you maybe they're the dream you have, right? I'm like, this guy, he's been doing the same thing for 40 years. He's probably have a simple watch, goes to the office still 5 days a week. He drives the same car he's been living in the same place for 40 years. He doesn't care about what you think about Warren Buffett. He probably wears the same coat for the past 10 years. You just maybe, do a little, get a thing in there. And it's just his partner, Charlie Munger, just passed away a few years ago. And these guys, these guys are the goats. The guys that are the GOATs, the greatest of all times, is the guys that they're 90 years of age. They're still doing the work. They're still doing they're still doing the same thing they've been doing for 20 years. All the rest of the guys, most of the guys that they thought they were big kahunas back in the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, they're already dead. And these guys are still standing. So when I'm thinking about all these things in sales, I'm like, I'm good. I'm 50 plus years of age, been sober for 5 years. I'm in a good position, right? Because if all these social media platforms like disappear, I can go knock some doors. I can buy a fax and I do analog. I can still I'm not worried about the economy. I'm not worried about what's happening in China or in Russia, or the gas prices are. Look, I gotta look. What you see today was happening 10 years ago, and with the and with the Iraq war in Kuwait 20 years ago, it was the same thing. And every president, every session is the same thing. It's just the same thing. It's just different people. So we kind of live in like in the Matrix, right? So don't you worry about the economy. Don't you worry about the gas prices. Don't worry about the electricity or the coals. Look. If you want to change the world, you gotta start with you making your bed every morning. Say good morning to your wife every morning, and support her every single and just slowly but surely, right? We try to eat and it just be this like. Nothing really matters, because at the end of the day, we have to live in this planet, and it's just a limited time. When is your time? Because when is your time, all the money you make and the Musk and the Bezos, when they guess what? they're gonna leave with absolute nothing. They came to this world naked. We came to this world naked, and we're gonna go back the same fucking way. So it really doesn't matter who you are and what you're becoming. You are going to the same 6 feet under, or whatever your religion is. Make sure that when you are alive, you're making the impact as many people as possible. As a smile, we had a burger yesterday. The waitress was phenomenal. Like, how you doing? I'm doing great, thank you. I appreciate you. And we went back to running, and we were walking around the mall, and we just came back, and just like, that was a good day. That was a good day. If I came back from my trip this past weekend and I drove 12 hours in 2 days, I'm like, that's a mission complete. Because we're happy, we're healthy, we accomplished, we saved, and we had an appointment tomorrow for the house with a lender. And man, we're so good, man. We're just like, I don't care about these guys are he won the Masters, good for him, or the champions, or the gymnasts they're preparing for the next Olympics, for the next World Cup, or the next this and that. I don't give a damn. My business is, I'm developing a platform that is going to help as many people as possible, right? We bring our wives, we bring our children in our trips, and we're just going to be the best we can be on a daily basis, man. You gotta be a good person, man. Because firing my accountant, it was like, he brought it to me. I didn't do nothing. But I was like, we call him, my wife called him yesterday, and we're one of these, where did you send those papers? And I knew it because I told my wife, you know what? These guys, they send this paper to the wrong fucking address. We've been in this address for 2 years. And he's trying to get it like a smart. And I was like, and I'm glad I didn't pick up the phone because I would have cussed him. But I said, I don't make decisions if you make decisions when you're angry, you're going to fuck it up. I went to bed, and I said, right now, what? I was like, I don't care. That's his business. He lost my business. And let me tell you, and before I leave, I want to tell you this. The sales process, it doesn't end with people paying you. The sales process just starts when they cut you the check. Because if they call you to ask you for feedback, or they ask you something about your product a year from now, you still need to respond to that buyer who have that confidence to give you that money, right? Because if you want recurrent revenue every single month, you gotta be creative. Because we living in the area and the times that if you don't produce, you don't have like 20 million times. You only have one time to have an impression. If you don't have that like first, people are gonna swipe. This is full of shit, right? Oh no, what the fuck, man. Let's go to So for him did what he did, I was like, dude, who do you think you're talking to? My wife, you've been in this address, and last year I got another fuck up too, like put my kids as, dude, we don't have, so when I send the tax, I put it with the red Sharpies. I use, because he's have eye problems, so I put it in whatever he need file on my taxes in a red Sharpie. It was in red, like, hey, this is the instructions. And I think the daughter doesn't have to do with the business. I think the guy's done, quite honest. And he's dude. I think he's been doing that for such a long. At some point, look, either you gotta have an exit plan. Any some sort of business, you gotta have an exit plan, right? So what you're doing with, just have what are you doing with you, man, right? So for me, in my 50s, I'm just getting started. I'm like, there's a bunch of accountants where I live, and the reason, because I want to give the guy a chance. But you know what? Shit, not anymore, man. I learned you know what? I'm gonna be like, you ought to be like, and that doesn't mean that they pay you $100 or you pay them $100, $200. I paid almost like $300. So I don't care if I pay them. I'm gonna find me a tax attorney that I don't care if I pay you $1,000. but he's gonna do the job, and I'm gonna start interviewing people, and I'm gonna tell, look, if you don't do this is what this is, and, I don't pay you for your Amazon review. I pay you. Can you do the job for me, or we're gonna have a problem? Yeah, because I work hard. I don't know about you. I work hard for my money. Just because I'm sitting here, drinking my cup of coffee, and when I'm on, I gotta produce when I'm on the phones. I gotta dial. And yesterday, I think I dialed between 200 and today I'm probably gonna almost 300 calls a day. A day. Yeah, because I like money. I don't know about you, but I like money. But I work very hard for my money, right? So if I want to go, I treat every like Grant does a great job explaining this. I'm treating every single people like is my investor, like they're investing in me because they know if they come with me, I'm gonna treat them right. And after seeing these people, they're making the biggest mistakes ever because they think, oh my God, yeah, I'm just gonna go to Rio, I'm gonna come back, and people are gonna buy my products. I don't think so, buddy. You're done. Because this dude, this golfer, and I don't want to know, you probably know who I'm talking about. He 3 accidents. He's driving his car. The dude has problems, and after the fact, you have to keep giving him your money. And oh my God, no, no, dude, he's done. I remember this. I'm a huge fan of the Iron Man, right? Robert Downey Jr. Baby. He had some issues back in a couple of years ago. He claimed, dude, I love Robert. I love his comeback story. Your comeback story has to be so great, and my comeback story is coming. It's so great that people are gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy, man? How do we find this guy, man? He's phenomenal. Robert Downey Jr., he came, another actress, the people that were talking shit about her, and I just didn't care back then because I was focusing on my own bit. Like Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan cleaned herself up. She lives in Dubai with her family, and she dude, I live in Dubai. No, nobody is filming me. Nobody is, I made a mistake too. 5 years ago, sober up, man. All these comebacks. I love comeback stories, man. And they might be redeeming themselves, but you got to be a triple of the world to clean all the mess, because this guy need to be in front of the judge, like I was, and I said, you're not gonna see me again. That's what I run every day. You ask me why I run, why I take my selfies and I do those runs, because every time I run, I'm in like, I don't think nothing. I just go, man. Because I know the devil is watching me around the corner and say, guess what? But not today. I'm an alcoholic, man. I'm being 5 years sober, and when I'm running, I show, not today, man. Today I'm one day at a time. One day at a time. And today I win. Today I win. What a great coffee. My wife did a great job. Values. Superb. So go help somebody that can never repay you. Go work on yourself. Shut up the fucking news. Shut up the news. Go this weekend. I'm going to do your homework. Go get a nice book and Barnes & Noble, and spend the whole weekend just reading, at your couch. Go get a cup, get breakfast with your wife and the kids every morning. Take your kids to the park and just watch and grow. And that's the best feeling, man. Because the rest will come. The new rich, what's the new rich are? The new rich are us. The guys that are waking up, man, I'm happy. Man, I'm happy. The happy I ever been, man. I'm in awe. I'm serious. Calm and collected. Yep. Time, freedom. Have you had that feeling that you're free? That you feel like freedom? Man, it feels good, man. Oh, man, I feel so good, man, this morning. I've been feeling this for the past 5 years, man. Calm and collected. Do it, man. It works. Eliminate all the distraction. Go get a good book. There's tons of books. I don't know if you have read Think and Grow Rich, or this is called The Grit, Atomic Habits, or The Count of Monte Cristo. Go read a book of a good comeback story. I mean, there's tons. Just go and just browse whatever you want to read. Just go and pick a book, Marcus Aurelius, or some philosopher back in the 1800s or the 1300s. Dude, I love history. There's coming into this called the men, which they should have said the men and women who built America. Not men. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, this is another subject, but I wanted to join this group of people. They're a bunch of men. It's too much testosterone. There's like too much. Dude, nah, it's just that's too much, bro. I don't know. I'm in a whole different level right now. I don't need to be a bunch of testosterone guys. We gotta have a mix. There's the men and women who built America. Don't let these fuckers fool you, man. Women are the best administrators. They are my wife, she's the CEO of the company. I'm saying, honey, you're the CEO. You're gonna run the company because you know how to run the books. It's perfect, so I can focus on sales. You run the fucking books. She knows how to pinch a penny like no one else's business. My wife, and if you talk about Warren Buffett, he talks about this. But I'm telling you right now, if you find a partner that knows how to pinch a penny in 20 million pieces, that's the woman. And I'm gonna leave you with this: when the other dumbass, the ex-husband, literally put the divorce papers on the table, she caught her off guard. She didn't have enough balls to look in her in the eyes. Just sign it right here. And my wife said, fuck you. I'm going to read those papers, motherfucker. But anyway, long story short, she saved 25. He didn't know she had $25,000 in the checking in the bank. So she's a saver, you save, because, you never know. You got to be a saver. And it's the wife. That's not, I didn't know we are. Moron. He's a moron. But he's, believe me, he's not in a good place right now. But you put yourself right there. So I'm going to leave in about a couple of minutes. But, you put right, no. You put yourself in that situation. So I don't feel sorry for all these folks that they're having, legal troubles because they're a bunch of idiots. That's their problems. But that's whatever. I'm going to focus within my environment and to be the best husband and business owner I can be. So, God, have a great afternoon. Have a great week. Go help somebody that can never repay you. Hit the subscribe button. Share this post and save it, because you're going to use it later on.